The moonless ocean was nothing but a sheet of black glass when the silence shattered. Floodlights burst across the waves as a convoy of disguised fishing vessels suddenly accelerated, engines roaring like beasts awakened. On the horizon, the USS Halcyon cut through the darkness, its radar screaming with warnings. Beneath the calm surface of those fishing boats lay 8 tons of pure cocaine, enough to fuel a continent's addiction. At 2:15 a.m., the USS Halcyon's radar operators noticed multiple fast-moving contacts approaching from the southeast. At first, the crew assumed it was routine fishing traffic, but the speed and formation were suspicious. 28 vessels moving in tight, coordinated lines. Thermal imaging confirmed dozens of armed figures on deck, wielding automatic rifles and rocket launchers. Intelligence reports had hinted at drug smuggling activity in the Gulf of Tehuantepec, but no one expected this scale. Captain Lawson immediately alerted command, transmitting coordinates and threat assessments to the Navy's Regional Command Center. Every second counted. One misstep could detonate the massive cocaine shipment hidden aboard the lead vessel. The USS Halcyon's crew went on full alert, activating defensive positions, sealing sensitive compartments, and preparing boarding teams. The stage was set for an imminent confrontation, a high-stakes cat-and-mouse battle on the open ocean, where precision and timing would decide survival. At 2:40 a.m., the lead smuggling vessel closed in on the USS Halcyon, its deck bristling with armed traffickers. The situation escalated quickly as tracer rounds zipped through the night, narrowly missing the Navy destroyer. Captain Lawson gave the order to fire warning shots, and the ship's 25mm autocannons unleashed a controlled barrage across the water ahead of the approaching skiffs. Explosions of water and sparks lit up the darkness, forcing the traffickers to adjust their course. The remaining vessels hesitated, regrouping into tighter formations, signaling that this was not a spontaneous raid but a coordinated strike. Meanwhile, Navy communications relayed live updates to the regional command, coordinating air support from an overhead P-8 Poseidon surveillance plane and an MQ-9 Reaper drone feeding thermal imaging. The smugglers responded by launching improvised rockets and small arms fire, testing the destroyer's defenses. Every action was calculated. Every maneuver critical. One hit in the wrong place could ignite the caches of cocaine hidden below deck. The USS Halcyon's crew braced, knowing that the next moments would determine whether the traffickers' mission would succeed or end in total failure. By 2:55 a.m., the situation had escalated into a full-blown engagement. The smugglers' speedboats swarmed like predatory sharks, closing in from multiple directions. Each skiff carried heavily armed traffickers wielding AK-103 rifles, RPG-7 launchers, and improvised incendiary devices. The USS Halcyon's crew maintained discipline, rotating gunners on the 25mm autocannons while targeting hostile craft with pinpoint precision. Water columns erupted as several skiffs were disabled, yet new threats emerged from the darkness, pressing forward relentlessly. Overhead, a P-8 Poseidon relayed live coordinates of fast-moving targets to the bridge, while an MQ-9 Reaper provided thermal imagery that illuminated enemy positions and heat signatures aboard the skiffs. Navy marksmen prepared for counterfire, aware that one wrong shot could trigger a catastrophe given the cocaine and fuel caches hidden below the decks of the smugglers. The destroyer's radar tracked every vessel, projecting trajectories and calculating engagement ranges for optimal effect. The traffickers attempted a coordinated maneuver, encircling the Halcyon and firing volleys of rockets at close range. Explosions shook the hull, and shrapnel flew across the deck. Crew members scrambled to reinforce bulkheads and extinguish minor fires while maintaining a steady return of fire. Communication was relentless. Orders from Captain Lawson coordinated gunners, damage control teams, and electronic warfare specialists who jammed enemy communications and disrupted navigation systems on the skiffs. For 30 intense minutes, the clash tested every facet of the Navy's training and equipment. Through precision, coordination, and sheer resolve, the Halcyon began to gain the upper hand. Skiffs were systematically disabled or forced to retreat, the traffickers' formation fractured, and the threat to the cocaine-laden cargo diminished. Yet the crew knew this was only the first wave of a meticulously planned smuggling operation that spanned continents, requiring unwavering vigilance to secure a decisive victory. At 3:30 a.m., the USS Halcyon shifted from defensive maneuvers to a full-scale counteroffensive. The destroyer's 76mm main gun roared, sending high explosive rounds into the oncoming skiffs, while the 25mm autocannons on the deck spat tungsten shells in rapid succession. Each volley tore through wooden hulls and fuel barrels, creating massive fireballs that illuminated the dark waters. Tracer rounds streaked across the night sky, painting a deadly constellation above the Gulf of Aden. Meanwhile, electronic warfare specialists activated the ship's jamming arrays, disrupting the smugglers' radio communications and navigation systems. The chaos forced many skiffs into collisions or erratic movements, leaving them vulnerable to precision targeting. Overhead, the P-8 Poseidon coordinated missile guidance and relayed real-time threat updates, while the MQ-9 Reaper's thermal cameras identified the remaining high-risk vessels. Navy marksmen aboard the deck worked in perfect unison, neutralizing enemy gunners attempting to reload or stabilize RPGs. Damage control teams remained on high alert, containing small fires and reinforcing hull breaches caused by close-range impacts. The combination of firepower, tactical coordination, and electronic interference began to turn the tide. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Halcyon's disciplined gunners systematically disabled the skiffs. Explosions rocked the water, scattering debris and forcing the smugglers to retreat. By 3:50 a.m., the threat had been significantly reduced. Several skiffs were destroyed, dozens of traffickers incapacitated, and the cocaine cargo remained secure. Captain Lawson surveyed the aftermath, knowing this was just one engagement in a much larger operation. The Navy had won this battle at sea, but intelligence suggested the syndicate's network extended far inland, requiring further action. Every crew member understood that vigilance was critical. Any lapse could allow the traffickers to regroup and attempt another brazen strike. As the battle intensified, air support became the decisive factor. At 3:55 a.m., two AH-64E Apache gunships swooped over the Gulf, scanning for high-value targets. The helicopters locked onto skiffs, attempting to flank the USS Halcyon, and launched Hellfire missiles with pinpoint accuracy. Each strike detonated fuel barrels aboard the traffickers' boats, sending flames and debris skyward, while the thunderous explosions echoed across the water. Simultaneously, the MQ-9 Reaper drones provided continuous real-time intelligence. Thermal imaging identified clusters of smugglers huddled behind makeshift covers, preparing to reload RPGs and automatic rifles. Guided by the Reaper feeds, Navy SEAL teams on board coordinated their small arms and grenade launcher fire, neutralizing the remaining threats. Communication between ship, air, and drone units was seamless. Each action amplified the effectiveness of the others. Precision strikes disrupted the smugglers' formations, forcing them to scatter or collide. Several skiffs were destroyed outright, while others capsized in the waves, throwing armed traffickers into the cold Gulf waters. The Halcyon's electronic warfare systems continued to jam enemy communications, ensuring that no reinforcements could effectively organize. By 4:10 a.m., the coordinated effort had completely shifted the battle. The majority of pirate vessels were either destroyed or retreating, leaving the Navy in control. Yet, the operation revealed the scale of the smuggling network. Tracing communications and recovered cargo suggested a vast transnational cartel, prepared for rapid and ruthless engagements. Captain Lawson reviewed the tactical data, aware that securing the cargo was only the first step. The mission had succeeded at sea, but intelligence pointed to a much larger threat inland. Every crew member understood the stakes. Vigilance, precision, and coordination were crucial, and the Navy's next moves would determine whether they could dismantle the syndicate before another violent strike was attempted. As dawn broke over the Gulf, intelligence pinpointed the smugglers' coastal hub just outside Barawi. At 5:30 a.m., three CH-47 Chinook helicopters lifted off from the USS Halcyon, each carrying 60 Navy SEALs armed with M4A1 carbines, M320 grenade launchers, and night vision optics. The operation, codenamed Dawn Cleaver, was executed with military precision. Flying low over the waves, the Chinooks descended toward the fortified compound, their blades stirring the morning mist. Two AH-64E Apaches provided overwatch, scanning the perimeter and marking high-threat positions with laser designators. As the first teams fast-roped onto the sandy beach, they were met with immediate resistance. Over 150 armed cartel operatives unleashed a barrage of RPGs, AK-103 seconds, and Type 80 machine guns. The SEALs advanced under covering fire, their training and coordination proving critical in the face of chaos. Within minutes, small squads breached the main warehouses, securing crates of confiscated weapons, javelins, and ammunition. Simultaneously, another team neutralized the communications center, confiscating encrypted laptops that detailed transcontinental drug and arms trafficking. Hellfire missiles from the Apaches struck fuel depots and escape vehicles, cutting off reinforcements and preventing the cartel from regrouping. The firefight raged for over 40 minutes, but the SEALs systematically dismantled the compound's defenses. 91 cartel fighters were neutralized and 46 captured, while 12 warehouses, containing 15 tons of weapons and fuel, were destroyed. Millions of dollars in cash and hundreds of kilograms of cocaine were recovered. By 6:15 a.m., the operation concluded. The Navy had successfully severed a major node in a vast smuggling network. Captain Lawson surveyed the aftermath from the Chinook, smoke rising over the ruins. The mission highlighted a critical lesson. Precision, intelligence, and coordination between sea, air, and land forces are essential in combating modern maritime crime. Victory was hard-won, but it sent a clear message: any attempt to challenge U.S. naval authority would meet a swift and decisive response. As the smoke cleared over the Barawi compound, the full scope of the operation became apparent. Naval intelligence teams aboard the USS Halcyon and USS Meridian began rapidly analyzing the data recovered from the raid. Encrypted laptops, shipment manifests, and communication logs revealed that the cartel's operations extended far beyond Somalia, connecting to networks in Yemen, Colombia, and even the Horn of Africa. This wasn't a single, isolated cell, it was a sophisticated, transnational smuggling organization, moving arms and narcotics with military precision. Meanwhile, the surviving cartel operatives who hadn't been captured were fleeing inland, prompting a coordinated response from regional allied forces. Surveillance drones, including MQ-9 Reapers, continued streaming live thermal footage, tracking fleeing elements, and identifying potential safe houses. Every detail was logged, cross-referenced, and transmitted back to command centers in Djibouti and Washington. On the USS Halcyon, Captain Lawson convened a debrief with his senior officers. The assessment was sobering. While the raid successfully neutralized 15 tons of weapons, hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammunition, and millions in cash, intelligence indicated that the cartel's financiers and network managers were still at large. The operation had struck a severe blow, but it was only one node in a sprawling global network. Despite the lingering threat, the morale among the crew and SEAL teams was high. They had executed a highly complex mission under extreme pressure, demonstrating exceptional coordination between air, sea, and ground units. The operation provided invaluable lessons for future maritime interdictions. Rapid intelligence gathering, precise targeting, and real-time coordination are critical for neutralizing heavily armed criminal enterprises. As night fell over the Gulf of Aden, the Barawi compound lay in ruins, a stark reminder of the Navy's reach and resolve. Yet, all involved knew this victory was temporary. The shadow war of maritime crime and international smuggling would continue. The fight had shifted from the sea to intelligence grids, encrypted communications, and transnational networks, an ongoing battle that required vigilance and precision at every turn. In the aftermath of the Barawi raid, the strategic impact of the operation began to ripple across international waters. Naval and intelligence analysts realized that the dismantling of this cartel hub was more than a tactical victory. It sent a clear warning to transnational criminal organizations. The seizure of 15 tons of weapons, millions of rounds of ammunition, and substantial cash reserves demonstrated the Navy's capability to project power far beyond conventional naval engagements, targeting sophisticated, criminal maritime networks with surgical precision. Allied nations were quickly briefed on the operation. Ports across East Africa, the Middle East, and South America intensified inspections and tightened security protocols. The flow of arms for drugs exchanges, previously hidden beneath the guise of commercial shipping, was now exposed. Satellite reconnaissance and UAV patrols were increased along key maritime choke points, ensuring rapid detection of suspicious activity. Analysts highlighted the crucial role of intelligence fusion. Integrating signals from drones, ships, and special operations forces allowed the Navy to anticipate threats and strike decisively. The operation also underscored the evolving nature of maritime security threats. Pirates and traffickers were no longer isolated actors. They were highly organized, technologically adept, and globally networked. This required a paradigm shift in naval strategy. Traditional patrolling and convoy protection were insufficient. Real-time coordination with intelligence agencies, rapid response units, and allied forces became essential to counter these multidimensional threats. For the sailors and SEAL teams, the mission reinforced the value of training, discipline, and teamwork under high-stakes conditions. Every second of hesitation could have led to catastrophic losses. As the sun set over the Gulf of Aden, the Navy sent a clear message. Attempts to exploit international waters for criminal enterprises would be met with relentless, coordinated, and precise force. The global community had been reminded of the Navy's reach and resolve, and criminal networks would think twice before testing the waters again. The Barawi raid was a lesson in preparation, execution, and vigilance, a blueprint for confronting the complex maritime threats of the 21st century. As the dust settled over the Barawi Peninsula, the scope of the operation became clear. 91 militants neutralized, 46 captured, 15 tons of weapons destroyed, and millions of dollars in cash seized. These numbers represented a decisive strike against a transnational criminal network. Yet for the sailors, SEAL teams, and intelligence officers, victory came with sober reflection. The operation had been a high-stakes gamble. One misstep, and the Gulf of Aden could have been transformed into a catastrophic blast zone. Every decision, every second of disciplined action had made the difference between triumph and tragedy. The lessons were profound. Modern maritime security was no longer limited to patrolling and convoy protection. It demanded intelligence integration, rapid response, and precise coordination between multiple forces. The operation demonstrated that criminal organizations, often disguised as pirates or smugglers, could operate with near-military efficiency, spanning continents and using complex logistics networks. Combating such threats required vigilance, preparation, and the ability to anticipate moves far in advance. Human skill, technology, and teamwork proved to be as essential as firepower itself. Beyond the tactical and strategic takeaways, there was a moral lesson. The seas are a shared domain, and lawlessness threatens global stability. Operations like Dawn Cleaver send a warning. Attempts to exploit international waters for illicit trade will be met with coordinated and overwhelming force. It's a reminder that vigilance and proactive measures are essential for nations and communities alike. For the viewers and supporters of the Navy, the story carries a call to action. Stay informed, understand the complexities of maritime security, and engage in conversations about protecting global trade routes. Your awareness can amplify the impact of operations like this, highlighting the importance of maintaining order on the high seas. If you found this operation compelling, remember to subscribe, share, and comment below. Discuss what surprised you the most, the lessons you took away, or your thoughts on the evolving nature of global maritime threats. The Navy has shown its resolve and reach, but public awareness and discourse are equally crucial in shaping a safer and more secure world.